sun was setting on the small town of Salem, as the students of Salem University were eagerly preparing for their Halloween party. The campus was buzzing with excitement as costume-clad students made their way to the party venue, the abandoned building on the edge of campus known as the Haunted Dorm. Legend has it that the building was once a mental asylum where patients were subjected to inhumane experiments. But now it was left abandoned, with its windows broken and its walls covered in graffiti. As the night approached, the temperature dropped, and the wind began to howl. The students, oblivious to the eerie atmosphere, danced and drank the night away, unaware that they were about to be haunted by the spirits that still lurked in the haunted dorm. One group of friends, Ava, Jack, Lily, and Tyler, decided to explore the dorm and see if the rumors were true. Armed with flashlights, they made their way through the dark corridors, their steps echoing through the empty halls. As they reached the top floor, they came across a room with a sign that read, "Do not enter." Without hesitation, Ava pushed the door open, and they were greeted with a putrid smell that filled the room. It was covered in dusty cobwebs, and the furniture was old and decrepit. In the center of the room was a large contraption, with chains hanging from the ceiling. Suddenly, Tyler noticed a faint whisper coming from the corner of the room. "Did you guys hear that?" he asked as he pointed his flashlight towards the source of the sound. They all heard it, and it sent shivers down their spines. Without thinking, they followed the sound, which led them to a hidden room behind a bookshelf. Inside the room, they found a journal and a voodoo doll hanging from the ceiling. As they flipped through the pages, they read the disturbing stories of the asylum's patients and how they were tortured by the unethical doctors. They also found a page with a list of names, including Ava, Jack, Lily, and Tyler's names. At that moment, the door slammed shut, trapping them inside the room. Their screams echoed through the building as their flashlights went out, leaving them in complete darkness. They could feel a cold presence in the room, and they knew they were not alone. The voodoo doll started to swing violently, and they could hear laughter coming from all around them. Panic set in, and the group tried to force the door open, but it wouldn't budge. They were trapped, and the spirits of the asylum were playing with them. Suddenly, Lily's eyes rolled back, and she began to speak in a strange language. The others watched in horror as she levitated off the ground, still speaking in tongues. Ava and Jack grabbed onto Tyler's arms, begging him to help them. But before he could do anything, they were thrown across the room by an invisible force. The spirits were getting stronger, and their intentions were not good. In a moment of desperation, Tyler remembered the voodoo doll hanging from the ceiling. He grabbed it and threw it to the ground, causing it to shatter into pieces. And just like that, the spirits disappeared, and Lily dropped to the ground, gasping for air. Shaken and terrified, the friends quickly left the dorm and ran back to their dorms. They were too scared to tell anyone what had happened, fearing that they wouldn't be believed. But from that day on, they never stepped foot in the haunted dorm again. Years went by, and the friends graduated from Salem University and moved on with their lives. But they never forgot the terrifying experience they had in the haunted dorm. From time to time, they would receive letters with voodoo dolls inside, reminding them that the spirits were still there, waiting for their next victims. The haunted dorm still stands, a reminder of the gruesome past of Salem University. And on Halloween night, the spirits of the asylum patients are said to roam the halls, seeking revenge on anyone who dares to disturb their eternal rest. So if you ever find yourself on the campus of Salem University, remember to steer clear of the haunted dorm. The ghosts are waiting, and they are not to be disturbed. Do you feel that tingling? That's the fear running through your veins. If you love the thrill and don't want to miss any of our scary stories, hit the subscribe button. I'm just a regular person, working a regular 9-to-5 job at this small office building. But the events that occurred at my workplace changed my perspective forever. It was a typical Monday morning, nothing out of the ordinary. I got to work early, like usual, and was the first one in the office. As I was making my coffee, I heard a strange noise coming from the back of the office. It sounded like someone was whispering. Now, being the only one in the office, I kind of brushed it off as my imagination and went on with my day. But as the day went on, more and more strange things started happening. Papers would move on their own, doors would open and close by themselves, and I swear I saw a shadow moving in the corner of my eye. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease, but it was getting harder and harder to ignore. It wasn't until that night, when I was working late, that things really started to get creepy. I was the only one left in the office, and I could hear footsteps coming from the hallway. At first, I thought it was my coworker playing a prank on me, but when I checked, there was no one there. That's when I started to freak out. I quickly finished up my work and started to pack up to leave. But as soon as I turned off my computer, the lights in the office started to flicker. I froze in fear as I heard the whispering again. I couldn't make out what was being said, but I knew it wasn't something good. I grabbed my things and practically ran out of the office, not even bothering to lock up. As I walked to my car, I could feel someone or something watching me. I kept looking over my shoulder and saw a figure standing in the window of my office. But when I got closer, there was no one there. I must have been losing my mind. The next day, I went into work feeling exhausted and paranoid. I didn't tell anyone about what happened the night before, not wanting to seem crazy. But as the day went on, my coworkers also started to experience strange occurrences. It was like the ghost was targeting us. That's when we all decided to do some research on the office building. Turns out it used to be a mental asylum back in the 1800s, and there was a patient who had died in the building and was buried in the backyard. According to rumors, her ghost still haunts the place, seeking revenge on those who cross her. We were all terrified, and to make matters worse, the incidents at the office were getting more frequent and intense. We could hear footsteps, whispers, and even saw objects levitate right before our eyes. It was like the ghost was trying to communicate something with us. We tried to ignore it and continue working, but it was impossible. We were all on edge and couldn't focus. Finally, our boss decided to bring in a paranormal investigator to help us get rid of the ghost. Let me tell you, watching that guy walk around with his equipment and talking to the spirits was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. But thankfully, it seemed to have worked. The paranormal investigator found a way to lay the ghost to rest, and the office was finally peaceful again. We never found out why the ghost was haunting our office specifically, but I'm just glad it's gone. Now, every time I walk past that building, I can't help but shiver, and I can't help but wonder, what if the ghost is still there, just waiting for its next victim? It's a terrifying thought, but one thing's for sure, I'll never look at my workplace the same way again. I have always loved scary stories, especially those involving the paranormal. Little did I know, my own college experience would turn into a true creepy college paranormal story. It all started during my first semester at college when I was 20. I moved into an old dormitory known for its dark history. Legend has it, a student committed suicide in one of the rooms many years ago. Some students claimed to have seen her ghost walking the halls at night. At first, I didn't believe the rumors. I thought they were just stories to scare freshmen. But that all changed when I moved into my room. The very room where the girl supposedly took her life. At first, everything seemed normal. But as the nights went on, I began to experience strange phenomena. I would wake up in the middle of the night to find my roommate's things moved around the room. I brushed it off as her sleepwalking, but it kept happening. Then, I started hearing whispering voices coming from the corner of the room. It sounded like someone was trying to communicate with me, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. One night, I woke up to find my roommate was not in her bed. I heard whispers coming from the bathroom, so I cautiously got up and went to investigate. As I approached the bathroom door, it slammed shut, trapping my roommate inside. I could hear her screaming and banging on the door, but it wouldn't budge. After a few minutes of struggling, the door suddenly swung open, and my roommate stumbled out, pale and terrified. She swore someone or something had held her captive in the bathroom and whispered threatening messages in her ear. From then on, strange things started happening every night. Objects would fly off the shelves, my clothes would be found shredded in the morning, and I would often wake up to find my roommate's bed soaked in what appeared to be blood. But the most chilling experience happened one night when I was alone in the room. I was studying for an exam when I heard a faint singing coming from the bathroom. It sounded like a lullaby, but there was something eerie about it. I cautiously approached the bathroom and looked inside. To my horror, I saw the ghostly figure of a young girl in a white nightgown standing in the corner, singing to herself. I ran out of the room, screaming, and never stepped foot in that dorm again. To this day, I still shudder at the thought of that night. I never found out the truth behind the haunting, but one thing is for sure, our college was no ordinary place. It was a playground for the paranormal, and I, unfortunately, became a part of its twisted game. If you want to see more horror stories, check out my next video.